talked a little bit about content in the last video, a little bit about the HTML. Let's now add some style to this. Our p tag, this is my first web page, is not very exciting, especially since that is the first thing people see. So what I'm going to do is add a name to this p tag. I'm going to call this class, I'm going to call it title, because it's actually the title that I want to be across my web page. So anything now, any p tag that has the class of title will all be styled exactly the same. Let's go style it, and then we'll see the difference when we run it in action. So let's go over to the style.css tab. Right now there's no style at all for our web page other than what's built into those tags. We called our class, we called it title, and notice how we spelled it, lowercase t, so everything will need to be lowercase. If we spell it wrong, nothing will show up. So title, and I'm going to put a curly brace here to say everything in between these curly braces is going to style my title. This is my first web page. Notice that Replit has a little green squiggle under there, and that's because I haven't put anything in here yet. So the first thing I want to do is add some color to that. So I'm just going to start typing color. And it gives us choices here. Let's just make it blue for now. The important thing about CSS is at the end of each line of code, you need a semicolon. Semicolon is the period with the comma below it. That's a semicolon. If we don't have a semicolon, it's not going to recognize that we've finished typing that line of code. Okay, let's just for fun, let's just make sure that color changed, and it did. It changed to blue, and if we refresh over here, also changed to blue. Okay, let's add a little bit more. Let's add a font size. So we're going to say font, and notice all of the choices when I say font. We have font display, we have font family, so you can do different types of font families, font size. I'm going to change the font size to be 50 pixels. Don't forget the semicolon at the end of the line. If I run it, that looks a little bit more like what I want. That looks a little bit bigger, looks a little bit more like a title. I kind of like it to also be centered. So I'm going to say text align, and I'm going to say I want it centered. Don't forget the semicolon at the end. It's hard to see on here because this is such a small space, but it is centered, and if I refresh it here, centered. Okay, I'm going to go back to the HTML because I want to show you that that is the only p tag so far that has that same styling. So even though they're both p tags, this is a p tag up here, this is a p tag down here, if I run that, this one has different styling than my title does. But if I wanted it to have the same style as my title, I just give it the same name. That's the really nice part about CSS, is that I only have to write this code one time, but I can use this styling over and over again. I can use it on this p tag, I can use it on that p tag, I could even use it on this h1 tag if I wanted to. If I run it, everything's the same. But notice the h1 tag was already bold in general, so it kept that styling and added on the styling that I added. So we can do this, you can use that class anytime we want. I'm going to make this different. I don't want this to have... Now I want to show you an error. So if we make a mistake, let's say I'm going to make a new p tag, and I say class equals, and I spell title wrong. Okay, close my p tag. If I run this, nothing tells you that you did it wrong, but it just didn't work the way you wanted it to. That is one thing about HTML and CSS. You're going to really have to be careful. Typing these, you just really have to watch your spelling. If things don't work the way you wanted them to, that means you might have spelled something wrong, or you put it a capital T instead of a lowercase t. So now once we fix that, it's centered it made it blue, and it made it bigger. Okay, that's just an introduction. Now it's time for you to go explore. Use the resources that are given to you in this lesson and just add as much stuff to this as you want. I'll refresh this page just to show what it looks like as a big thing, and there you go. So go explore, go have fun, see if you can learn how to change colors of the background, add images.